So I finally found the time this week to do something I've been meaning to do since I started collecting on the Panini Blockchain earlier this year in February of 2025. And that is basically keep track of every single NFT that I'm collecting, where I purchased it at, how much it was, and how it's growing over time. Now, it's a little easier for me to do because when I purchase these NFTs in my brain, I'm thinking I'm holding them for 2 years minimum. Basically, early 2027 is the first time I'm going to probably take a look at even selling some of these. A couple here along the way, so it's easier for me to track. And then also, as you can see, I have 865 current NFTs. I thought, okay, I got to do this now before I get over 1,000 because this is going to take even longer. I mean, it took a good solid week to kind of put it on Google Sheets as you see here. And we'll go over this real quickly just to give you a gist of what's going on, and we can all share in some knowledge of what the Panini blockchain is doing and what specific card sets or players are doing well. But first things first, this was actually never going to be a video. This was only for personal use, just so I could get an understanding of what's going on. But then I started to notice that a lot of the NFTs that I have that are actually moving the market or moving my collection higher and higher are not the scarce out of 10s or out of 25s. They're actually the equivalent of the base cards on the Panini blockchain. So I thought this would be a really cool video because a lot of these videos you see when people show their collection, they whip out like the most expensive, the most sought after cards. But I want to show that you can also collect base cards and do very well on the Panini blockchain. Case in point, if you were to collect this Stefan Castle Prism PSA 10 Silver, this is what your chart would look like for the past 90 days. And as you can see, you had gained 5.9%. Okay, nothing too impressive. Now, if you collected that same card but on the Panini blockchain as an NFT, this is what your chart would look like for the previous 90 days. Now, that is more like it. This card was trading for about $1 to $3. And then as more collectors, as more demand for the prisms, silvers specifically, have come to play the last couple months, it shot up to around 40 and has settled back down to around $23. So instead of 5.9% as the physical collector would have seen, you would have seen 1,250% for the same time period in the last 90 days if you collected the NFT. Same thing if we go to the Drake May. Drake May is one of the hot rookies right now. He's playing really well this year. I will ignore this last sale. That definitely doesn't make sense. I'll take the highest sale, which is 575. With that said, the past 90 days, a physical collector with a PSA 10 Silver Prism would have seen an increase of 43%. Okay, not bad, not bad. But if you collected that same card, but as the NFT on the Panini blockchain, here's what your chart would have looked like the past 90 days. You would have seen anything around $3, I think, to $7, or maybe even up to 10. And then it shot up around 55.69 where the high sale is, and it settled back down to around 27%. Long story short, you would have seen an increase of 575%. That's 10 times for about 1/10 the cost. And also, we won't go into this video because I've gone into it plenty of times, but you also have twice the scarcity. As you can see for PSA 10 Pop, 603, current mint count of the NFT, 355. I guess I just went into it. More scarce, fraction of the money, but at the same time, the increase of this NFT has seen the past 90 days far surpasses what the physical world is seeing. Now, with that said, I don't want to make this seem like everything's gone up so much the past 60 days and the window is now closed. In my mind, this is like the first window of 20. That's why I'm not really looking to sell anything for 2 years, because for some reason in my mind, when I first started collecting in February, there's just like a gut feeling that people aren't really going to notice NFTs as the true collectible for the foreseeable future until like 2027. That's when more eyeballs are going to get onto it, where things are going to start to get a little crazy, or in my mind, probably more normalized, because this is the future of sports car collecting in my mind. Even though we've seen a recent uptick, I thought, let's start now. If under 1,000 NFTs, I can start to track it. And then we can do these like every few months, every 6 months, and we can kind of see just generally the growth of my collection. But also this signifies the growth of the Panini blockchain as well. I'm not going to be referencing any outlier players or card sets. This is generally, if you got on the blockchain and you just started from the bottom, like base cards, and collected your way up like I am, you have a similar looking collection. This is what you would have seen if you started 6 months ago. So first things first, LeBron James. He's perform probably better than most. I think for regardless of what type of NFT you're collecting, you've probably seen a fairly good uptick from LeBron James. My initial buy-in was $997. As of now, the current market, it's putting everything right at around 5,500. That was a lot more just about a week or two ago. It was up to almost 10,000. But like I said, there was a very good run up of some specific cards, mainly the silver, the Choctaw card. I have 8 of those. I bought in total around $9.25. They went as high as $600, and now I've settled back to like around the $250, $275 range. There's probably even more room to have them come down. I think they kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I didn't expect them to do that for maybe another 12 to 18 months, and it happened very quickly within 60 days. Meaning I think some of the parallels are probably undervalued right now, so I'm looking at those. I have 2 blue shimmers. Those are out of 35 of this Choctaw card. I have bought it at an average price of $72. And I have 3 of them. Initially, I bought one for $95, thought that was a great price. Then I went back to check, and a month later, someone bought it for $40. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, if he wants to flip it, let's flip it. So I offered $60. Well, someone else other than that collector sold it to me for $60. And I was like, okay, let's see if he wants to flip it or if he's keeping it. So I did $60 again. He flipped it to me for a quick $20. I got it for 60. I thought that was a great deal. I've always thought that these particular LeBron James cards, if you're a new collector, I made a video a few months ago where I think the Choctaw card, even in the physical world, is a very popular card. There is significance to it. But if you're collecting on the blockchain, we can't go prior to basically 2020 when it comes to LeBron James cards. So I think on the blockchain specifically, this card will even hold more significance because of the lack of LeBron James that we have on the blockchain. So, it's a good place to start. Some of the parallels I think are really cheap on it still. But then we go on to Wemby. Big collector of Wemby. I think the Spurs are going to be the most exciting team in the NBA. I love Wemby. I started with his rookie cards, the silver, the blue ice, the Pulsar, the orange. I got them for pretty good prices. Again, I've been making videos kind of highlighting this thing the past 6 months, specifically Wemby. The silver, there's only 424 total minted. In the physical world, I think if you combine the base and the silver, there's over 30,000 PSA 10s. So, just a little demand with Wemby will go a long way on the blockchain, and it already has. And then the orange, I just got a great deal on. I remember making a video way back when I started collecting at the beginning of this year, and I was blown away because there's a buy it now for that orange, which I think is out of only 78, for $189. And I was like, this is only $189, and the physical version selling for like $5. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And then it kept going down for whatever reason. I think after he got injured, they kind of kept creeping down a little bit. And I had the opportunity to buy one for $100, and I could have bought a second one for $100, and I didn't because I'm like, I got one, that's enough, which in essence it is. But that's come back up to, I think the recent sale, it says $375. And then again, we're just continuing the Prism theme, and I'm going to roll through the rest of these quicker. But I'm basically just setting up the trend you're going to see for the rest of the NFTs, which is the Prism card sets are hot right now. Specifically the silvers. Those are where you want to be at. So when I saw the LeBron Choctaw skyrocket, I immediately went to other Prism players that I hadn't really collected just to get the card. So I had not collected one Wemby 2024, his second year Prism, but once I saw the LeBrons go crazy, I'm like, okay, people just like the Prism NFTs. I started buying those. I got 10 of them at an average price of $10.50. The most recent one sold for $33. I got a couple parallels for, I think, way too cheap for what the parallels are. But again, like I said, the silvers in particular are really hot right now. Steph Curry's my favorite NBA player, favorite player to watch ever, favorite NBA player to collect. My collection of Steph as of 45 days ago was 0, nothing. Again, I saw the LeBron silver Prism take off, and I said, oh, you know what? I like collecting Steph more than LeBron, even though I like that particular NFT. So I started collecting him. I got in early again on the silvers. I think before people started looking for the 2024, I got them at $7.25 each. The last sale of the 2024 was 86. I think since then it's come down to like 75. So that was a good one. Again, the 2023 silver Prism, they call it base, but it's really acts as the silver. Got those for the same price, on average about $7.25. Have 14. I think there's 424 minted of those. The average, or the last sale was about $40. That's my favorite Steph Curry NFT. For some reason, I just like the imagery of it. Everything about it. That's my favorite one. I don't know why the 2024s yet are still selling more than the 2023s. It's not just the chalk toss, I get it, but even you'll start to see other players as well. The 2024s are selling for more. Luka, I'm not really a Luka collector. It's light, but again, just in the past 60 days, relatively speaking, since I've started picking them up, collection's gone from $208 to $534. Caitlin Clark, I'm the most heavily invested in Caitlin Clark, as you can see. Haven't seen the same appreciation. If I just owned the silvers, again, the Prism silvers, I would be killing it. But the other variations are not doing so hot. And either the silvers jumped the gun and they went too heavy too fast, or the variations just need to catch up, or the silvers are going to come back down where the variations are going to and create a new floor and then creep back up over the next six or 12 months. Whatever it is, I'm cool with. I'm okay being heavy into Caitlin Clark. And of course, the biggest NFT I own is the White Sparkle variation. It's out of only 8. Paid $1,750 for this. I can't report that I've even gotten any higher offers than that since owning it. So I'm just leaving it as is. I don't think there's been a lower sale than that. There's only 8 of them. Stephen Castle, again, it was just purely, he was rookie of the year and his rookie card NFT was selling for like $1 or $2. So nothing more than the fact, and I think the Spurs are going to be a super exciting team. So nothing more than just that made me be like, okay, well, it's very low entry point. So 185, it's now worth about 430 again, more than doubled. Just picking up the base cards of Stephen Castle. The base. These aren't out of 10s. I mean, I have a White Sparkle that did very well. It's out of 18 on the blockchain, bought it for 100. Now it's 250. I think that will even maybe settle back down a little bit. Drake May, a hot player right now. Again, the silvers, bought at 8. Last sale, $27. Just the base Prism silvers are doing really, really well. Kabooms, very well. Kabooms are doing very well. I made sure to try to get a Kaboom horizontal and vertical in all the 2024 quarterback rookie class. They're all studs. I tried to. I didn't get any Jaden Daniels. Those were already too hot. And I think I didn't get a horizontal Caleb Williams, but everybody else I got a vertical and a horizontal. So those were doing very well. And then the Color Blast finally picked up. I love the Color Blasts, and forever they were being ignored. I mean, I could have probably stocked up on quite a few Color Blasts. I didn't. But hey, I have a Drake May. I have most of the quarterbacks of the 2024 draft class for Color Blast. Those have done very well. But as you can see, like the Gold Shimmer, 140. I think that's a good deal. I mean, I got an offer on it last week for 450. It's out of 10 Gold Shimmer. No one took it. So I'm not going to plug in 450 because the offer is no longer there. So I don't know currently what it is. But a lot of this value increase you're seeing isn't like the out of 10 Gold Shimmers. These are all relatively base. Now the Kabooms are not. But we're talking the out of 25 Kabooms. I mean, I bought one for $112.50, the horizontal, and the vertical for $150. I mean, in real world talk, that's pretty crazy that was an entry point for a Kaboom for one of these rookie quarterbacks. And they're still, I think, in essence, very low. Like I said, there's going to be 20 more windows in the next couple years with the Panini blockchain that I think. So people will have a bunch of new opportunities to get in. But the earlier, I would say, the better. I mean, just a few more collectors can make all the difference when it comes to this kind of stuff. Caleb Williams, again, about doubled my money. It was a Color Blast and vertical. Oddly enough, out of all the silvers, the Prism silvers, Caleb Williams are low. I don't know why. Very low. Everybody else has done very well with Prism silvers. Caleb Williams, not so much. And I thought he's played pretty well. Jaden Daniels, I'm light on. Again, the other quarterbacks were so cheap. He was already so expensive. So I got my Prism silvers in on him. His price has doubled. Everything else, again, just base stuff relatively. Panini Blockchain considered base stuff. JJ McCarthy, again, some Kabooms have done very well. His silver, I got at a very low price point, $7 a piece. Now they're trading around 20. Of course, his injury kind of hurt things a little bit. And here in the red, this is when I first started collecting. I just jumped in and did buy it now. It's because, again, you come in from the physical world, this stuff seems super cheap. Bought a blank slate for 125. I think the last one sold for 69. Oops. And then one of the startups, which I do like, bought it for 45. Last sold 20. Oops. You're going to have some bumps along the road. And I'm going to show you the biggest bump. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you the dumbest move. The dumbest. Not only I made, but you could possibly probably make when start collecting on the Panini blockchain, and it made me lose around $5,000. So I'll show you that real fast. At the end, here's Bo Nix. Again, Prism Silver's doing well, Kaboom's doing well. Color Blast is in orange just because, again, this was one of my early purchases. I just jumped in hot. I bought it now for $200 way back when it was probably, I could have gotten it for $50, but I got bailed out. The last sale was $275. So like I said, Color Blast have been doing well lately, but again, for the blank slate and the startup, I've lost my shirt on those, but I'm still up, 1,200 initially, 1,700 total. Panix Jr., same thing. It's really the Kabooms and the Color Blast that have carried. I don't have any of his Prism Silvers. Those prices have already been a little high. I think they've been trending ahead of itself for a while, so I'm going to wait a little bit on getting some of the silvers. That's the only player I don't have any Prism Silvers on. And then Mahomes, I've started slowly to try to accumulate some Mahomes and be a little strategic about it. I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's for sure going to win another Super Bowl or two at some point in his career. But again, the Prism Silvers are the ones that are leading the way. Got in at about $12.50 for the 10 2024 silvers. They're now selling around $29 a piece. Same thing with the 2023 silvers. Got in at about $8.40. Last sale was $55. Again, these are the base cards on the Panini blockchain. These are the base NFTs, and they're performing extremely well, and they still have a low entry point. You can still get in and create a very good collection that 12 months from now you can be really proud of. And here's some miscellaneous. Barry Sanders Kaboom, bought it for $75, last sale $450. That's been doing well. These aren't miscellaneous. This is my Barry Sanders collection. I'm sorry. And then I have 9 serial numbered 20 Barry Sanders NFTs. So his jersey number NFTs that I got for pretty good prices. I started collecting these right when I got in. I talked about in a previous video, my brother who had passed away about 20 years ago when we were kids, he was a heavy Barry Sanders collector. So I collected Barry Sanders to kind of have this experience with him today still. But I got really great prices on them. I just kept them as the same price, even though at this point, if you look at Barry Sanders, I think you could definitely make a point that I could probably 3x these, and that would probably be justifiable, if not more. But I leave them as is. I'm never going to sell them. Just is what it is. I don't even care about the value. And here's a miscellaneous. So Kevin Sullivan, I've got a few of his different rookie cards. Those have done very well, as you can see. Bronny James White Sparkle, I just got it for super cheap. Someone gave it to me for $15. Really scarce NFT of Bronny. And then Joe Burrow, there's just no Joe Burrow love on the blockchain right now. If you're a Joe Burrow fan, join the blockchain right now because you will love it. Like, you could pick up so many Joe Burrows for what seems to be so cheap. CJ Stroud, rookie card, silver NFT. That was such a popular card a couple years ago in the physical world. There's only 280, I think, minted of that. Have 3 of those, $21. They're up to $45. So at the end of the day, my total right now, if we're just looking at this, and I have other NFTs that I didn't put on this because they're just kind of like one or twosies, like Malik Neighbors, Ricky Pearsall's, some other things like that. We don't need to go into that necessarily. I'll probably start to offload them and maybe build a set of a particular card set that I've been meaning to do that I'll make a video on. But current spend is $14,800. That's not probably my actual spend because I have flipped a couple packs. I have sold some NFTs. So I would put my buy-in more around 11,000-ish. And the current value, 32,882. Again, if you saw this 2 weeks ago, it was probably 40,000. So this is more realistic. I think by the end of the year, I should see it back at 40,000, like it hits a new floor and then it creeps back up to the end of the year. But anyways, this is what I'm going to keep track of. Like I said, I'm not doing a lot of selling, so it's going to be easier to kind of keep track of this. It's good to put it down on paper because I already have a couple ideas of what I want to kind of buy more of based on what I'm seeing, just on what I'm charting in my collection. But I think it's good to know. I think it's good for all of the viewers to see, and the collectors, that this is possible to do with base cards on the blockchain. And as I showed you before, comparing it to the physical world, I don't think it's comparable. You cannot do it in the physical world. The population is just too unknown, it's too big, there's too many, and the prices are already so high, like it's just like a slow death, it seems like in the physical world. Where on the Panini blockchain, you had a little scarcity and transparency, and everything seems to just fit just right. I'm going to leave it on this. This is my biggest mistake, and arguably the biggest mistake you can make. Otani, one of my first purchases ever. I saw this as a Kaboom. So I went all the way back to, let's find me real fast. Um, it was one of my first. Here we go. Back. Yeah. I mean, maybe my first purchase, February 6th of 2025. I purchased one for $265, both for $265. And the reason I know it was maybe my first purchase is because these were out of 219, these kabooms. Then I started shopping more on the Panini blockchain. I started noticing there's other kabooms that are like out of 25, out of 10. And so I started freaking out because I wasn't familiar enough with the Panini blockchain, how scarce just everything is. And I started thinking, 219 a kaboom, ick. Like, I probably didn't buy it now, so I already thought I got like screwed by not really seeing what was selling and how to put in a proper offer. So I bought 265. So I started freaking out. Like, I just did the dumbest thing possible. Like, these aren't even scarce. So I immediately sold them. I purchased them for 265 a piece. Who are the next two people to sell these? Me, this idiot. I sold one for 150 to OG Skywalker. You're welcome. And then I sold the next one for $230. Like, I bought them and immediately freaked out with thinking they're not scarce. I sold them for less than I bought them for. And how much are they selling for right now? The last one sold for $1,917 with a floor price of $2,000. That, I would argue, is probably the dumbest move you can make this year. I would argue that. If you think of something else, help me out and put it in the comments and make me feel a little better. But anyways, that's my collection. I hope it encouraged you to maybe look at the Panini blockchain if you haven't already, because everything is scarce, everything's transparent. And as you can see, even with the base cards, you can get a significant increase on your initial collection or investment in a very short period of time. But with that said, I do think giving it like 12, 18, 24 months would be the appropriate thing to do and allow more eyes and more collectors and more money to come in to make this more of a stable market. But anyways, if you have any questions, if you like this, please let me know. And I'll follow this up probably at the end of the year to see exactly where we got to and if I have any new additions in my collection. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.